Namaste, Ayush. Welcome to the session. So, Ayush, last week I'm talking with one of the CTO of the company, and we are discussing about a lot of problems that are facing by themselves into their team nowadays. So, mostly problem comes into their mind is when they are working with the college students, hiring the students newly or those who are having a 1 year or 2 year experience. So the main problem comes into their whole culture is they are not able to get it very speedily with the projects which they want. Due to that, the whole productivity of their team and the whole tech developers they are out there loses.
So thanks, Mohit. So basically, how Godspeed is helping tech teams reduce their talent hurdle is in two ways. The one way is basically through our developer tools. Okay, the primary tool being the Meta framework for microservices. All right, for developing microservices. So our tools come with these developer guardrails, high-level abstractions, and also built-in plugins, reducing the effort of the developers and as well showing them the path to walk upon, a path laid out with the best practices. So just by using the microservices framework, for example, they will learn about many good and best practices. For example, schema-driven development. They have to follow schema-driven development, correct, when working with Godspeed. So they will understand why is schema-driven development important, right? Similarly, configure over code. Writing software without boilerplate and basically writing software with minimal lines of code where your code basically expresses what should be done and not how to do it, right?
Got it.
So this also not only reduces the effort but as well makes them focus on the more important things to do, right? Then comes the security guardrails. So how to ensure security of your application, wherein we come with again the pre-laid out path for different things we do for security. And the last is a decoupled architecture. Educating developers by them working in a certain kind of a way where every data source or event source you use in your project is a plugin, right? And your code, your business logic is independent of that plugin integration. So by using this again, they are adopting the philosophy of decoupled architecture and development, right? So these were some examples of how our framework helps brings these best practices and lays out the guardrail for developers and they learn by using these things, right? And the second thing that we are also giving to teams is out-of-box plugins, right? So in Godspeed, if you want to use Express server, just install Express plugin. Nothing more needs to be done, correct? And configure in a YAML file. If you don't want to use Express or replace it tomorrow, you want to use Fastify, install Fastify plugin, remove Express plugin, and it should the rest of your project is untouched, correct? So then it is so easy for developer. We have worked with how many developers so far? More than 400 developers are in Discord, right? Yeah. And we have done few hackathons where I think a few hundred more developers have tried Godspeed.
Yes.
Okay. So I remember consistently one feedback from all developers is how easy it was to make projects with Godspeed, especially those who did not know much on Node.js, for example, right? All they did was install Godspeed, run a command, create a project, choose their plugins, give their Prisma schema for database, and lo behold, your REST API or your GraphQL API is available. It's such a big thing that in 5 minutes from a schema of a restaurant microservice, you have a GraphQL API working or a REST API based on best practices. So these are amazing first wins. So when these young teams work on these simple projects where you would take them many days to develop, let's say 30-35 APIs, with Godspeed they can achieve within 1 or 2 hours.
That's great.
Isn't it?
In Godspeed, they are able to make whole application with the junior developer in just 10 days, not without the help of the senior developer. That's something that you are claiming, right?
I don't mean to say that we replace the guidance of senior developers. It will be needed. Because see, in the end, it's about the concepts more than the tools we use, no? So if I know how to drive a car, I can drive different cars, correct? So, but somebody has to also show me how to drive a car.
Yes.
Now at Godspeed, we have made a car which already educates you to a great extent on how you use it, right? But still, what concepts to use to drive on the right side or left side, what speed to run on, those things can be initially guided by your senior team member. So that guidance will be needed, but the need will be very reduced.
Got it.
Right?
I'm talking with the CTO last week that I talked about, right? So he is not using the Godspeed right now into his system. So how he can lower this talent hurdle? So what's your suggestion on that?
So the CTO should focus on ensuring best practices are followed in his company. The best kind of tools and frameworks are used in the technology infrastructure so that he lays the right foundation for his team to be more productive, right from entry-level engineers to senior engineers. So if you have the good infrastructure, you reduce the chance of mistakes. And as well, we need to really invest in educating our team. And it's not just about entry-level developers. Even the CTO needs to learn so much, isn't it? So we all are constantly learning and we should be learning. So then the CTO should also ensure that there is right kind of guidance, right kind of exposure, right kind of educational content and guidance in sessions for his tech team to constantly upskill themselves. Even if they are not master of everything, they can at least be jack of all trades and master of a few.
Thank you so much, Ayush, for clearing all the doubts.
Thank you.